Halftime report. Do you believe the Santa rally a bankable reality you can profit on between now and the end of 2009? Today, 30 minutes into the early close, good economic data boost the Bulls' holiday spirits. Let's get the word from the street. Your Fast Money crew: Guy Adami, Jim Urio of TJM International Services, Eugene Profit of Profit, and Jeff Tomasulo of SMB Capital. Guy, let me kick off with you. Yesterday it was all about the housing data. Everybody worried about where we were going with the economy. Today the data is much better. Weekly jobs and the durables if you strip out the transports. How do you feel about the economy?
It's like the Wizard of Oz, man. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? You're going to get good data on some days, bad on other days. I think people are a little ahead of themselves on the economy. I don't think it's as rosy as people want to make it out to be. But I'm not Ebenezer Scrooge today either, Simon. I mean, you can't fight the tape. The market wants to go higher. And you know what? The rally's intact right now, sir.
Jim, would you say the same?
Now, I'd say the same only because there is big money funds out there that share a common interest in that this stock market rallies into the close of the year. And I think that's what's keeping it up. From a fundamental standpoint, I agree with Guy. There's really no reason for it. This stock market is discounted in a bigger recovery than we're actually seeing because the economic data is mixed.
Jeff, I can see you dying to get in there.
Well, I can fundamentally, everybody's thinking the same way, but technically right now, and if you've seen this, we've been sitting on a range, and now if you look at the SPY, which tracks the S&P 500, we've broken up the top, over the top part of resistance of 112.
But it's such light volume, Jeff. It's such light volume, Jeff. Does it matter as much if it was a big, heavy volume, decisive move?
I was getting to that point, and that's the one thing you got to be. No, that's all right. That's the one thing you got to be careful about. I like that it's above the 112 area, but the volume is extremely light. It's been extremely light for the last 3 weeks. So going into Monday, I want to see if the big buyers come in, and are we able to hold above this 112 level?
Eugene, how do you feel about where we sit?
I think the market's ahead of economic data, but I certainly think the economy is starting to improve, and it's going to be a very interesting 2010.
Okay, time now for the Obama trade. Call it Miracle on K Street. Early this morning, Senate Democrats finally passing the health reform bill, all but guaranteeing it will become law early next year. Health insurance stocks on a tear over the last 2 months, trading slightly lower on today's session. Guy, is this a buy the rumor, sell the facts?
No, it's to sell the fact, man. Simon, I hope you've been watching the show, Kat. I know you're here in New York City. I mean, we told you to buy UNH on the rhetoric when it's the worst. That's when it was down around 24, 25. Now when things look to be the best for these guys, now's the time to pull the ripcord. UNH traded up to 33 the other day. I mean, I love the story. I love the stock. Valuations are fair. But you got to be taking profits now in names like that and looking to buy when the rhetoric gets bad again, which, by the way, it will.
Jeff, you're obviously in agreement with that from the way you're nodding.
Well, obviously, and just to teach some investors some kind of tips, the price action today, the news came out and the stocks traded down. That is a sign that obviously they're selling on the news. And Guy's exactly right. You should have been buying before. And again, I think everybody's all happy about the health care, but there's some concerns. Again, it's still the Senate and the Congress have to come together and settle on a bill.
Yeah, Eugene, this is 30 million more Americans that are going to go through a private system of health care. There's got to be more profits around, is there not?
You're absolutely right, Simon. I think short term, you might get a little bit of selling here, but, longer term, you got a pretty neutered bill here, and essentially with that, more Americans coming on the health care and the valuation discount to historical average, about a 27% discount to the S&P 500 in 2009. I think healthcare really is going to be the place to be in 2010.
Interesting. Jim?
Here's what I take out of it. I say, like Guy, you sell the healthcare names because that's all been played out. But what you take away from this is that this government is so bent on spending as much money as possible that we probably resume the weak dollar, buy the commodity names trade. I know that's kind of a long leap to see healthcare being passed so you buy commodities, but that's where my mind is.
Okay, let's move on. Time for the sector trade on retail. We've got 25 minutes left to trade before Christmas starts, before arguably the shopping finishes. Joining me on the fast line with some last-minute mall stocks, buys, is Option Monster's John Nigerian. John, what have you seen today?
Well, Simon, a lot of fast money flowing into one of the best managed retailers out there, JW Nordstrom. Take a look at the 41 calls. This stock is already up 170% year to date, and it people are betting on that continuing into 2010. I still like TJ Maxx better, TJX. That's the one I own, but I like the action in JW Nordstrom, and I would say I'm a little worried about Joann's stores, JAS, because normally, Simon, this stock goes into a trough right after Christmas, and right now it's at a 52-week high. I think it's vulnerable, JAS. and I have short positions in that one.
Jim, you love Walmart, am I correct?
Oh, I do love Walmart, but I think, remember, Walmart is kind of the poster child for the risk aversion trade. I believe that becomes in vogue again in the first quarter of the year. Like I said before, I think the market's got a bit ahead of itself. We no longer right now have the dollar at such weak levels that we did when that was the crutch to buy the stock market. So I think Walmart represents risk aversion. It's a good company. It always seems to do well regardless of what the economic condition is.
Jeff, your pick is Amazon.
Well, yeah, I liked Amazon going into today, but then when we heard the news on Apple about the e-reader, we saw some relative weakness in Amazon. Resistance at the 140 area in Amazon, but I like it overall. People are buying more online, and Amazon's the place to do it. They've been proving this over the last 5 years.
Is he right, Jim? Is he right? Buy more?
No, he's not right. It's trading at an 81.5 P&E. It's always had a hugely high P&E for 10, 12 years. How long are we going to wait for this business model that we all love to really start to explode and grab market share? It really, and I like the company. I just think it's gone a little too far.
Guy, wait in on this guy. You'll have a view on.
Well, so I do have a view. I'll tell you right. Any of you deadbeat husbands out there, run out to Nordstrom's. They got the best shoe department in the world, basically, for women's shoes, #1. And I'll tell you, Amazon, you can't fight. I mean, honestly, the valuation has been a factor since it was a $50 stock. Why fight it now?
John,
but I'll say this: you want a retail name, Home Depot, brother. That gets you done.
Let me get a last word for you, John, on this. John Najarian.
Oh, I'm sorry, Simon. I agree with Guy that Saks and Nordstrom have the shoe departments, and those are high-end. I think right now, though, pay attention to not just what numbers are going into Monday, but the following Monday after New Year's when they've moved all the after-Christmas sales.
Okay, have a good weekend, John. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to topping the tape. Tech. Google adding on to its big gains this week, not to mention continued strong performance out of the chip and the memory storage stocks. Is 2009's best sector going to remain top dog in 2010? Eugene.
I think it's going to be the second best sector. I think the growth in tech is going to continue, but I really am starting to think that healthcare, because it's so undervalued coming out of 09 for good reason, will be the top sector in 2010.
I'm sorry, you already made that point. Forgive me, Jeff. Are you a buyer of technology?
On the short term, I am. You stick with the pattern. The pattern has been that tech has been the leader. And if you look at Google's over the $600 level, Apple, look at Apple today. I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but Apple had an extreme surge today. I think it's up 4%. Amazon, IBM at a 52-week high. You stick with the pattern until the pattern changes.
Okay, well, let's make that the fast flash then. Let's talk about Apple. Guy, what's your view on that computer maker?
Look, I mean, right now it's above that 208 level. I mean, if it break out, I hate buying it on a day like today. Honestly, though, I mean, and you said it before, you sort of touched on it, you want to be in these storage plays. Look at Western Digital, look at Seagate Technologies, NTAP, Pete.
We seem to have lost the line there. Jim, what's your view?
I like Apple. I think, what's funny is that I don't like Amazon because it seems to be, you're reaching for high prices. But Apple, it's the same thing, but I do like it. We saw a ton of call strip buying after the talk came out of the e-tablet. I'm not sure exactly what an e-tablet is, but I know this, that everything Apple puts out, my kids seem to love. And we buy it up, and it's under the Christmas tree at our house. It'll be under the Christmas tree out of millions of other people's houses as well. So Apple seems to be a place I would put my money. Best of breed kind of thing.
All right, time for the chart of the day. Is the Santa rally for real? Do you believe? Starting on Christmas Eve and going through to the second trading day of the new year, the market has traditionally rallied. The Dow gaining 1.8%, the S&P 1.7%, and the Nasdaq 2.3% on average. Guy Adami, did today's rally make you a believer?
Listen, I'm not, I get traditionally better looking every year, but it doesn't mean I'll be better looking next year. So I'm not a big believer in that stuff. Look, you can't, I'll say it again, I'm bearish, but you can't fight the tape.
Jeff?
Hey, listen, I'm a big believer in Santa Claus. I haven't stopped believing since when I was a little kid. I'm going to follow the pattern. The pattern is 70% of the chance it works out.
Eugene?
I think you got to buy into this rally through the end of the year. You're going to have some portfolio manager repositioning the winning names.
And Mr. Urio, finally.
The fix is in. You stay with it. Yeah, the fix is in. You stay with it. The market's going to be muscled up higher in illiquid markets. In Q1, it might be a different story, though.
Don't go anywhere. The Fast Money halftime report continues right after this break. Guy Adami's saving a last-minute retail trade for you on the other side. Plus, take a look at what we have in store for you on Fast Money Monday at 5 o'clock.
Monday, the Pit Boss scores the video game stocks to chase away your post-Christmas blues. And hot funds in the wintertime. ETFs you need ASAP.